All right, we are live with you right here on SportsGrid. Coach James Young, Joe Lisi, I'm Kevin Walsh with you. It is Betting Above the Rim, college basketball today, March Madness. I think you're right, Joe. It's here. It's here. We're in it. And we have teams officially in already. And I don't mean, the Dukes of the world, right? Yeah, Duke's in. You got to actually earn. You got to clinch that spot. And we have seen some teams at the mid-major level already clinch those spots. Lipscomb, High Point, Omaha, beating up on some trash cans. So I want to talk a little bit about those teams. Could they be dangerous? Could they be noteworthy? Could they be a full fade? I think all of that becomes very, very interesting. I'm going to go to you first here, Coach. We can get through a couple of these teams. We can talk bubble. But one of these teams that's already in the dance who caught your attention.
Shout out to my guy, Andy Toole. Bobby Moe in the building. Robert Morris done a great job. Andy Toole's been there for a long time, known him for a long time. A disciple of Fran Dunphy. By the way, shout out to Fran Dunphy, who just coached his last game a couple of days ago. Andy Toole's did a great job with Robert Morris. They were in the NEC, did a great job. They had to move to the horizon because being in Pittsburgh, it just didn't work for them in that league. They had to get out. Rebuilt that program again, and this team has been on absolute fire, losing only one game since I think January 8th, and they got a kid. They got a kid, Cam Woods. That's an absolute dynamo. And what I saw out of Robert Morris is different guys step up in different spots. It's a team and a guy that is, I know it's NIT, and yes, it was a bad Kentucky team, but this is a guy that will be ready, Andy Toole, to have his team ready to play. That could be a scary match, whether they're a 15 or a 14 seed. The way Bobby Moe's playing, they could be dangerous in the right matchup, Joe.
Yeah, they can. I mean, they beat up on Youngstown State. I know. I took Youngstown State plus the points, hoping for a step-up spot. Played nip and tuck for about, 35 minutes and just let go of the rope in the final 5 minutes of that matchup. I've watched this team now. I'm going to Wofford in terms of this team, 19-15 overall. Smash VMI. Smash Furman. They have very good guard play. Jackson Civilis that stepped up with a 20-point performance in the championship game. You want to talk about blue-collar teams? Yeah. I mean, Wofford, to me, is a team that I think can make some noise. Are they going to go to the Sweet 16? Probably not. Can they get an upset in the first round? It's possible. Depending upon how they match up, depending upon how they play, if they're catching multiple points, I might be on Wofford. They impress me. They shoot well from the perimeter and have very good guard play. That travels in terms of March Madness, guys.
Kev, I think the team that's just the most intriguing, honestly, is Gonzaga. Like they are the team that we didn't think they were, but they're playing better. They don't have the quad one record. Yeah. Where do they get seeded? But their net is high. That is going to be such a fascinating story, Kev. Come tomorrow, way they are seeded, because if you see them too low, they could definitely find themselves in the Sweet 16.
Yeah, I think stuff like Gonzaga, for me, and admittedly, one, I don't like things that are illogical, but I really don't like watching the Iona Gales get given no opportunity. Ooh. And that happened a few tournaments ago when, as a 13 seed, they played a 4-seeded UConn that every, Tom, Larry, and Joe had a future on, that they ended up winning the tournament because everybody knew that the 4-seeded UConn was actually a top 4 team in college basketball. And yet, Gonzaga's resume isn't great. But if they're 8th in net and top 10 in BPI and top 10 in KenPom and top 10 in Evan Mia and top 10 in Joe Lisi and top 10 in Coach, and okay, well then, why are they on the 8? What's going on here? Again, I understand that they're not on the 1 or 2. They don't belong on the 1 or 2. They also don't belong in the 8-9. Right. That can't be. It is flatly unacceptable for something like that to take place.
I was just going to say, if we equate Gonzaga to college football, right, when you have a dominant program in terms of a group of 5, and then all of a sudden you lose your star talent a couple of years ago, right, in terms of some of the talent that they have when they played in the Final Four and championship game, and then you start to go the other way. Like last year for me was, I was on Gonzaga last year. Why? Because the expectation, the bullseye wasn't on their back. And, if you can't win when there's, less than expectations, right, and you still underachieve, that's where I start to second-guess Mark Few, and I start to second-guess the program, and I say, are they going the other way? For years they dominated, you want to say, the non-power conferences, right? They were there. For years, they were the dark horse to potentially be that Cinderella. They got close. They couldn't close the door. And now, they might get the talent again, but they're starting to go the other way. You can't lose to St. Mary's 2 times in the regular season, beat them in the championship game. This is a conference that you should be dominating. No?
No, so I think that, big picture, I fear Few might have missed his window. Simultaneously, I cannot believe 5-star recruits are picking, I'll pile on, North Carolina over Gonzaga. Chet Holmgren went to Gonzaga. Fantastic tournament run. Jalen Suggs went to Gonzaga. Unbelievable run, obviously, he had with the Bulldogs. Ian Jackson can't crack the starting lineup of a team that's not going to make the tournament. I don't even... But Few can't seemingly bring these kids in anymore.
No, he can't.
Right? He's not dominating the portal. If you look at this year's team, it's leftovers from last. They should be much better than they are. So that's a bit tricky. I want to, though, just use the Gonzaga point, actually, to make a perfect transition to the team I wanted to talk about, which is McNeese. Last year's McNeese was all the rage. And unfortunately for them, you'll remember, Joe, it's the thing we saw that's most similarly. They ran into Gonzaga, and all of those McNeese will win a tournament game takes got smashed right in the mouth because they ended up having to play the Bulldogs in a 5-12. Nobody's talked about McNeese this year. I'm not acting as if they're as if this is a hidden in the rough gem, but because this is what happens with bettors. It happens with me. It happens with you. It happens with everybody. Because everybody got burned on McNeese last year. Yeah. They're not doing it with this year's team. Well, guess who's better? This year's team. They are better. Their net rating is better. Their rating relative to without the entire country last year to this year is better. Their strength of schedule last year was around, I think, 72nd. This year, top 25. Last year, out of conference, they beat Michigan. Guess what? Not as impressive as going to Alabama and only losing by 8, or playing Mississippi State on a neutral court and only losing by 3. This year's McNeese team, more so than last year's team, feels like the one ready to make a run. And what I like, Coach, is this year's McNeese team isn't all the rage.
No, they're under the radar, except for the manager. That's what.
They're superstars, but nobody wants to bet on them.
Right, but I think the thing is, what I like about McNeese is number one, Will Wade winning challenge their schedule. Right, you go look at their schedule. They only lost to Alabama at Alabama by 8 points. Right, they beat Mississippi. They lost Mississippi State by 3. So they played better teams out of league, but also their defense is better this year than last year. And I think that was my concern with them a little bit because they gave up 85 last year to Gonzaga. Joe, their defense is much better this year than last.
Yeah, absolutely. And when you look at McNeese, it's matchups, right? They can maybe make a run, Kev, to potentially the Sweet 16. Be that team like Loyola, Chicago that we saw a couple of years ago to get those upsets. And it's a pretty good look in terms of that. I think when you look at March Madness, anything can happen in terms of these tournaments and underdogs. We've seen underdogs step up, especially if they're catching more than 6 or 7 points, double digits. This is what it's all about. I mean, there are no dominant teams in March Madness anymore.
Certainly so. We are going to get to all of these conference tournaments, the Iona Gales, but also some big breaking news in the college basketball world. That's next. You're on SportsGrid.
which is a great place to be. Are you in the locker room? Like, you giving like the Any Given Sunday Inches Al Pacino speech? Are we there yet?
Oh yeah, I think we've been there. We're gonna have a long talk with Rob today about the 99-199 issue from last week. Like, I just don't get how he is still employed. We gotta talk to ownership about that one.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
They're also showing a little bit more propensity to take the pull-up jumper, which I think is important for them. Aiden Holloway's been better. Brant Nelson's getting this thing out of foul trouble. Clifford Murray is attacking the offensive boards and being the defensive threat that they need. If Alabama can defend, and they make a run, and they win the SEC tournament, I think they're the fourth number one seed.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
That is also value to be the best player on the best team. To me, it's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. There is no doubt about it.
The Nuggets probably going to finish, second overall in the conference here, and it's not going to get him the MVP. We'll see how it is down the stretch, and I assume this is going to tighten up, but barring a huge drop-off for OKC as a team, not just SGA, you could probably pencil him in for 30 a night.
The early line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that rim. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of 15.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Live to your right here, it is Betting Above the Rim. Kevin Walsh, Joe Lisi, and Coach James Young. The news around the college basketball world is a big one, as Villanova has fired Kyle Neptune, no longer their head coach, one of the premier programs in this sport. When Jay Wright was at the helm, he steps aside. I think it was tied to NIL complaints. Wah. Kyle Neptune, though, ultimately could not fill those shoes. The thing is, that was always going to be the case. Jay Wright was ripping off championship after championship. Kyle Neptune was struggling to make the tournament. And clearly Villanova was giving Kyle Neptune the opportunity to make a run in the Big East and to win it outright. And if they did, obviously, that could have changed things. Instead, they lose to UConn. Eric Dixon goes out kind of sad, unfortunately. Country's leading scorer, shoots 2 of 15. But now, and I'm going to go to you, Coach, because I know you've been waiting on this for some time. Not that you've been rooting against them, but you've been tracking this program very closely. Kyle Neptune out at Villanova.
Not stunned, and talking to people I know, basically he had to get a run. He had to get a run. I think the game, honestly, that may have sealed him in 2 of them is up by 4 against Georgetown in the last 90 seconds a couple of weeks ago, and then the 15-point lead versus UConn was unfathomable when they just completely self-destructed. And they had a bunch of close losses like that. So I'm not stunned that Kyle has let go. He was very well respected. People wanted him gone last year. President wanted to give him a little bit more time. But now it comes to the point where you got to go outside the family. Villanova is a team, you compare it to a team like a Seton Hall that had $1.5 million in NIL money. Eric Dixon got that alone himself. So the coffers are there. And I know the NIL money is definitely there. So it'll be interesting to see, Joe, where does Villanova go? Maybe a guy like Ryan Odom, son of a coach, East Coast guy at VCU. Now there's talk about Virginia, but you got to go get a guy and go get a home run right now.
Hey, you talk about what Jay Wright built at Villanova, back-to-back national championships. It's eerily similar to the dominance, not on the same level, but Nick Saban in Alabama. When you're the pinnacle of college football and college basketball, respectively, you have to keep that train in motion, right? Same pressure on Kalen DeBoer is the pressure now in terms of that Kyle Neptune had. And you just look at the resume, 70 and 62 overall. I mean, he was a 500 coach at Fordham for 1 year, and his best season was this year at 19 and 13.
Yeah.
Never finished better than 6th overall in terms of the Big East. That dominance wasn't there. You didn't have elite top 5 talent that you could hang your hat on and say, hey, we have this to build on. It's unfortunate, but again, this is the problem with NIL, and this is the problem when we see star coaches leave like Jay Wright. You know, Villanova, it's in Philly. It's a blue-collar team, blue-collar town. Same thing. It's a similar situation to what Rick Pitino had taking over St. John's. You really have to make an impact, coach, within your first couple of years.
Yeah, and I think I would push against that. They did have, at least last year, top 15 talent. When you talked about Eric Dixon, when you talked about T.J. Bauman, when you talked about having Justin Moore, when you talked about having Malik Armstrong, right? You had players. And I think this is where you got to be careful with the portal. You got to get it right. You just don't load up and get the best players. You got to find a way to mix in freshmen with the seniors and a couple of transfers here and there to figure it out. And I think I talked about this on my podcast a couple of days ago. 2 people have figured it out, one in the men's game, one in the women's game. Pitino and Mark Campbell of TCU. And what they have done is they have flipped the script on how you can turn it around quick, and now coaches will not get the second contract 5-6 years. You may be out in 3 or 4 years, Kevin, if you don't win.
I think you also just what happened with NIL is it has leveled the playing field some. So your blue bloods, right, will have money, but if you have a change at coach, you have to get the hire correct. Duke got it correct with Shire, and Duke is Duke, and obviously that's a level, right, a cut above. You know, Kentucky this offseason, people were super down on. Well, Mark Pope, and I know it'll probably be judged a little bit more on what they do in the tournament, but Mark Pope got a lot of the right guys into Lexington. Syracuse was a noteworthy program forever, right? Well, okay, I mean, I know Melo's son is going there, but the reality is Syracuse is never a part of the national conversation. So I almost think my takeaway isn't even as much on Villanova. What happens when Izzo steps down? What happens when Self steps down? Because that's probably the next 2. Now, I'm not saying they're right around the corner, right? These guys coach a long time, but your program has to get the right guy. And here's what I will say, because someone has to say, because people love to, champion anyone who attacks NIL and attacks players getting paid. Jay Wright, I care so much about Villanova. Well, guess what? He got upset that kids were getting money, left this program high and dry, and here's what's left. Jim Larinaga, I care so much about Miami basketball. Wah, left that program high and dry. They couldn't guard me if I stepped out on that court. So I'm just, again, people like to attack these kids. Well, these coaches got put in a tough spot, and they took their ball and went home.
Well, I think that's the nature of the beast. This is going to be around for a while, especially with the revenue sharing. But I think when you look at Kentucky versus some of the other programs, when you don't have to stay in the family. Villanova messed up with this. You can look at North Carolina. They messed up with this. You go with a guy out, if you go with a family like a Mark Pope, who went to another school that won in multiple spots, and then you bring it back. Kyle Neptune had 1 year experience. Kyle Neptune was a Dobo less than 10 years ago, and you're going to go and give him a job at a power program? You got to get, if you go in family, got to get a guy with head coaching experience.
I'll just say this. The programs that are universities, state universities, will rebound in a much bigger way, like Kansas, to your point, and the bigger ones, because the money's there. That drives the economy. They love college football and college basketball. When you have private colleges, St. John's, Villanova, it's a harder sell to get those city kids with the NIL. They have to go there for a reason, typically the head coach.
We got a lot of games to break down. That's next right here.
which is a great place to be. Are you in the locker room? Like, you giving like the Any Given Sunday inches Al Pacino speech? Are we there yet?
Oh yeah, I think we've been there. We're gonna have a long talk with Rob today about the 99-199 issue from last week. Like, I just don't get how he is still employed. We gotta talk to ownership about that one.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
They're also showing a little bit more propensity to take the pull-up jumper, which I think is important for them. Aiden Holloway's been better. Brant Nelson's staying out of foul trouble. Clifford Murray is attacking the offensive boards and being the defensive threat that they need. If Alabama can defend, and they make a run, and they win the SEC tournament, I think they're the fourth number one seed.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
That is also value to be the best player on the best team. To me, it's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. There is no doubt about it.
The Nuggets probably going to finish, second overall in the conference here, and it's not going to get him the MVP. We'll see how it is down the stretch, and I assume this is going to tighten up, but barring a huge drop-off for OKC as a team, not just SGA, you could probably pencil him in for 30 a night.
The early line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that rim. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple of 18.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
We got to run the fast break here on betting above the rim. So we're going to go through some of your lower-level conference tournaments games today because there's still juice and there's still a spot to potentially get involved. At 1 o'clock, we're going to see the MEAC final between Norfolk State and South Carolina State, as well as the first game in the A-10. That's VCU versus Loyola Chicago. Norfolk State, a 1.5-point favorite. VCU is laying 9.5 in the first game of A-10 action. Game number 2 in the A-10 today is George Mason, a slight dog to St. Joe's. That trio, Lisi, any of them stand out to you?
Yeah, I'll take both A-10 games. I really like Loyola Chicago. They've won 8 of the last 9 games. They're playing a very hot VCU team that has won 11 straight by 19.7 points per game. But they held St. Louis to 43% field goal percentage. Catching 9.5 in terms of that matchup. Again, I think it's a lower scoring game, half-court style. Giving the 9.5 with Loyola of Chicago to potentially strike the upset. Yeah. And in terms of the late game, hey, maybe Billy Lang in terms of Villanova, huh? He's not from the neighborhood, but he's from New Jersey. I love this team. Fleming, Pinckney, I love them. They crashed the boards. They beat up Dayton. They wanted it more. Laying the 1.5. Could be a best bet. Crypto play later. Give me St. Joe's over George Mason.
For me, it's going to be Loyola team total under versus VCU. They had that trip-up spot where they lost to Dayton, but this team grinds you down defensively. Team total, I think it's at 63.5. I think VCU got that ugly game out of the system, came back, won big last game. I think they held who they played the last game to a pretty low number. I do like Loyola Chicago to go under the team total today versus VCU.
For me, I really like George Mason, Lisa. We're on other sides. Here's the thing. It's one of those spots. I understand you've been back in St. Joe's. The last thing I want to see, after having played overtime and now having to play on the second leg of having to play consecutive days,
I hear you.
Is a grinder like right. George Mason.
Yeah. Okay.
That is who they are. It is what they do. These teams played twice. Both games were close, understandably. But George Mason was able to win with a 16-point comeback because they held the Hawks to a second-half total of just 20 points. Actually, that was the only meeting there. I think George Mason gets that game done. Next kind of crop of games that we'll see come from the American Athletic Conference. Memphis, Tulane. Memphis laying 8.5. We know Memphis is already into the tournament, so it's going to Tulane's trying to steal some bids in that semifinal game. Game number 2, it's North Texas and UAB. Number dropping for the Blazers here against North Texas, who will try and speed up another grinder in the Mean Green, Joe.
Yeah, I mean, out of both of those games, I like the total in terms of Tulane and Memphis. Memphis hot as a pistol, won 14 in the last 15 games. They won 6 straight. On the flip side, you have Tulane. They're hot as well. They're playing very well, consistent. Last 8 games for Tulane, they have totaled 152.2 points per game. I think they push tempo against Memphis, and that's the style that Memphis wants to play a little bit. 149.5 to me, light. I think we get into the 160s, Coach.
Yeah, I like North Texas. I think it's going to be a tight game. Big spot, obviously, the last game, UAB 164-61. So I'm going to go ahead and take North Texas straight up to get the win today.
I like Memphis. I think they get the job done against Tulane in a big way. I think their reps in spots like this, think back to Maui, I know that was a long time ago, should have them a lot more comfortable and confident in their game against Tulane, who's lucky to be here, but I think way overmatched. I think UAB has a good chance to pull off that upset. It's a very light number, though. I would have loved to catch 4.5. It's going the other way. I can't disagree. How about a Mountain West final? How about a MAC final? Any bite here? Colorado State, a slight dog to Boise. Both of these teams needed this run. You could argue the loser of this game may not make the tournament. So huge implications. Akron against Miami of Ohio. Big time total 158.5. I love Colorado State. I'm starting to think they're just the best team overall in the Mountain West. They have the best player in this conference, undoubtedly, in Nick Clifford. Watched that game last night against Utah State. I probably should have went to sleep. I couldn't help myself. That game had juice. I love Colorado State against Boise. I think they should be booked as favorites.
Yeah, I like Colorado State as well, but I like the under. I've been an under in terms of the Mountain West games. Those are the games, I think, when you look at the tournament perspective, trending a little bit more half-court style type of games. Unders, so I'm not gonna bucket here in terms of Saturday going under, but I like the points with Colorado State, Coach.
Well, I'm gonna make my man happy. It doesn't matter who the coach is. They're in Atlantic City and they always win. The Iona Gales minus the 4.5. They find a way to get it done. Last time out, they won by 3 versus Mount St. Mary's. They covered the spread today.
But I thought Rick Pitino saved the program with that weak graphic. We'll be right back. It's Betting Above the Rim.
Which is a great place to be. Are you in the locker room? Like, you giving like the Any Given Sunday inches Al Pacino speech? Are we there yet?
Oh yeah, I think we've been there. We're gonna have a long talk with Rob today about the 99-199 issue from last week. Like, I just don't get how he is still employed. We got to talk to ownership about that one.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
They're also showing a little bit more propensity to take the pull-up jumper, which I think is important for them. Aiden Holloway's been better. Brant Nelson's getting this thing out of foul trouble. Clifford Murray is attacking the offensive boards and being the defensive threat that they need. If Alabama can defend, and they make a run, and they win the SEC tournament, I think they're the 4th number 1 seed.
Betting Above the Rim, only on SportsGrid.
That is also value to be the best player on the best team. To me, it's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. There is no doubt about it.
The Nuggets probably going to finish, 2nd overall in the conference here, and it's not going to get him the MVP. We'll see how it is down the stretch, and I assume this is going to tighten up, but barring a huge drop-off for OKC as a team, not just SGA, you could probably pencil him in for 30 a night.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple 18.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, back with you right here on SportsGrid. We're going to keep the pace rolling here. Coach mentions the MAC championship game between Iona and Mount St. Mary's. I will say this was supposed to be Quinnipiac against Merrimack. They had spent the MAC season as the two best teams. Both were upset yesterday. Merrimack, that offense absolutely exposed. Love to see that. I'll call it like I see it. I'm not a fan of that Warriors group. Glad to see Mount St. Mary's take them out. Quinnipiac, unfortunately, ran up against the kings of this conference. Make no mistake about it. Player of the conference, whoops, sorry, not good enough. Gales rout them and roll them in that basketball game. Coach, seeing it clearly, understands that all Iona does is win MAC championships, no matter who the coach of this school is. Lisi maybe doesn't understand. Curious, Joe, what's your breakdown of this game?
Yeah, well, you know me. I'm one of the most unbiased men in sports media, right? I don't go with my home team. That was a very gutty win over Merrimack, 57-55, right?
Okay.
Mount St. Mary's has won 3 straight by an average margin of victory of 5.3 points per game. Dallas Hobbs, I'm talking to you, baby.
Wow. All right.
8 points in the win. He steps up. Give me the 4.5 outright.
Yeah, okay. I'll tell you that. Not a lot of family dinners going to involve Joe Lisi anymore after that breakdown.
Haven't been invited to the house yet. Spicy.
Yeah, you were. Oh, shit. That's what I got coming out of you, pal. 4 left. And then we get to the big games once again. Conference USA. It's Liberty Jacksonville State. The SWAC. Jackson State. Alabama State. The Big West. Woo! A lot of excitement for UC San Diego, UC Irvine. And then late night, the WAC. If you're not betting this, you better be asleep. Because no way you're up and not in the mix with Frankie Muniz's group, Grand Canyon, against Utah Valley. Any of those Final Four catch your eye, Coach?
Yeah. Frankie Muniz and
Frankie Muniz.
Yeah,
Malcolm in the middle.
They're playing good basketball. Listen, I know they lost their last regular season game to Abilene Christian by 1, but this team can go up and down and they could score. They are, the road team, but they are the number 2 seed. I'm going to go ahead and take Grand Canyon to get the win in the cover tonight.
Yeah, I'm going to tell you this right now. San Diego, right?
Yeah.
Frauds.
Whoa!
Anteaters, baby. UC Irvine. Plus the 5.5. Outright. It's a Carver and Lisi special. We've been on UC Irvine all year in the conference tournament. That don't let us down now. Plus the 5.5. Frauds.
Using
San Diego.
BATR for his radio promos here. All right. I like Jackson State in the SWAC game. 3rd toughest strength of schedule in the country.
Play everybody.
Battle-tested teams like Jackson State play those games because they have the expectations that they can go out there and make the tournament a 14-4 record throughout SWAC play. I think they're comfortably better across the board than Alabama State. A dropping number from 3.5 to 2.5. I think the Tigers get it done. Let's get some finals on the board here. Listen, Houston, Arizona. This isn't the first time you've heard about Houston on this show. I think the Cougars win this entire thing when it's all said and done. But that's why I'm the real most unbiased man in the history of sports media. Listen, you all can fight. You all know the truth. Arizona team total 64.5. I like the Wildcats to score in this game. This team total is almost a carbon copy of what we saw BYU's. Arizona, offensive efficiency-wise in BYU, about the same. Pace, much different. I think we're getting a buy low spot due to a dominant Cougars effort defensively, which they needed because they were unacceptable on that side of the basketball against Colorado. I think Arizona, I don't know if they win. I don't know if they cover, they get 65 points in this game.
Yeah, you might be right. I like Arizona plus the points. I just like the way they're playing right now. Caleb Love with 27 points. I understand dominant defense in terms of Houston. They've won 12 straight by an average margin of victory of 9.5 points per game. Battle-tested on the road. All they do is step up, baby. But I think matchup-wise, I think Arizona does match up very well with them. I'm going over Caleb Love today. I'm taking the 6.5. I don't know if they win, but I think they can keep it within the number, Coach.
See, I look at it as a coach, and to me, you got to go against a warden on a 0-day prep. You can't practice. You got an hour shoot-around, and the shoot-around is probably, I don't know what time the game is, but your shoot-around is about 5 hours beforehand, and you got to go against this team. A team that Emmanuel Sharp is now looks healthy with the ankle injury. A team that's got guys that can get buckets. To me, it's Houston minus the points. I think they jump. What I saw, what they did to BYU was insane, getting 41 points. And I think that's the thing that's scary about Houston and no one wants to talk about, Kevin, is offensively, they're way more dangerous. It's not just Jamal Shad or whatever, get the ball, Sasser, and clear out. They got multiple guards, Kevin, that can go get a bucket.
I just want to say something. You know, I just thought about it. If somehow, some way, Arizona does win the Big 12 championship, Big 12 owned by Arizona, Arizona State stepping up in year number one. I'm just saying, you know, in terms of college football, you talk about, you know, oh, that's Texas. That's, you know, Houston, you know, all the big boys. And here are two teams from Arizona that are stepping up in championship games.
Well, no, but, you know, it's incredible, Lisi, right? Like the team that has to defend the Big 12's honor is the Houston team that just showed up 2 years ago and been running through this conference for like no, but listen, I'm not trying to rewrite history on, you know, Bill Self and Kansas or Baylor, right? But I'm just, you know, these teams are showing up and making some noise here, undoubtedly. Count it! All right, we want to see this Brian game here. St. John's Creighton, man, 6.5 for the Johnnies, 141.5. Here's an update for people. This is, I believe, the first time all year St. John's is now the number one defense in terms of defensive rating team in the country on KenPom. Patino's team, I keep looking at him. I go, that's not a good never mind, win. Well, that's not a great spot. Never mind, cover. Never mind. Like, they just keep getting it done. And I don't think the Big East is very good. But that has held back St. John's in a way that we haven't necessarily hold back a Duke, right? And St. John's is not as good as Duke, but listen, this is how the college season works, man. You keep putting wins up, you kind of beat someone down. And go, all right, you got to just accept it for what it is. And what I said about George Mason earlier, right? You hate to have to play overtime. Next day you run up against George Mason. Creighton went overtime, then UConn, and now you have to play the number one defense in the country. It's a very tough spot. I think I'd rather play an overall under in this basketball game. Coach, how do you see it?
I like St. John's minus the points. You look at the team that they got their bad part of their game out of their way, down 24-9 in the first half, and they were down 2 at the break and then sailed in the second half. And to me, they have a big and Etchafor that's going to kind of neutralize Kalkbrenner a little bit, who doesn't really want to bang so much. But you look at St. John's, you're right. Number 1 in defense, number 18 in effective field goal percentage defense. And here's the thing. Number 12 in turnover percentage for forcing you to turn the ball over versus a team that turns the ball over, doesn't have a plethora, especially losing Pop Isaac, in guards. To me, St. John's minus the points, they're going to lean heavily, I'll be there, on that crowd tonight. St. John's pulls away in the second half.
Yeah, they've won 8 straight, right, by 11 points per game. I'll tell you this. Creighton has won 4 straight by an average margin.
He's going to be there.
Of 11 points per game. Both teams playing well. I'll say this. Creighton made me money last night. I was on them plus the 4.5 against UConn. They shot well over 50%, 52% from the field. Yeah. I like that. And I watched that Marquette game. That was nip and tuck. Marquette gutless in the second half. Refs didn't help in any capacity either. I'm taking Creighton in the upset. I think they strike it over St. John's tonight.
I had a Creighton team total yesterday, 67.5, 46 in the first half. I was like, awesome. We can move these games around. I circle back. What's going on? Hey, throw it to the 7-footer. Nope. Okay. Another clank 3. Oh, running it. 35 seconds left is when that bet hit. That was not good. I didn't like what I said. I think for Creighton, they have to start early. They need to establish Kalkbrenner very early in this basketball game. He had a poor showing last night against UConn. It doesn't get easier going into this game against St. John's. He didn't do much in the first meeting against St. John's. You could argue either game, going well below his season average. Very interested in what we see from him. We still have a ton of games to get to. SEC semis, Big Ten semis, ACC final. You got the right spot. It's Betting Above the Rim on SportsGrid. We'll be right back.
Which is a great place to be. Are you in the locker room? Like, you giving like the Any Given Sunday inches Al Pacino speech? Are we there yet?
Oh yeah, I think we've been there. We're gonna have a long talk with Rob today about the 99-199 issue from last week. Like, I just don't get how he is still employed. We gotta talk to ownership about that one.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
They're also showing a little bit more propensity to take the pull-up jumper, which I think is important for them. Aiden Holloway's been better. Brant Nelson's getting staying out of foul trouble. Clifford Murray is attacking the offensive boards and being the defensive threat that they need. If Alabama can defend, and they make a run, and they win the SEC tournament, I think they're the fourth number one seed.
Betting Above the Rim, only on SportsGrid.
That is also value to be the best player on the best team. To me, it's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. There is no doubt about it.
The Nuggets probably going to finish, second overall in the conference here, and it's not going to get him the MVP. We'll see how it is down the stretch, and I assume this is going to tighten up, but barring a huge drop-off for OKC as a team, not just SGA, you could probably pencil him in for 30 a night.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high, but the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
Just a little flyer, couple 18.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Welcome back to Bryant Above the Rim, baby. Right here on SportsGrid. 2 more points as we're trying to root it
Middle
in.
of the zone. Get to the middle of the
unless
zone.
you're, of course, Joe Lisi, who is over here still trying to figure out why he ever lived in New Jersey because he can't get involved in Yale, Princeton.
No! Oh, that's a questionable shot.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. We're trying to be spoiler free for the fellas in the back too, so we'll.
They're all right.
Well, let's get into the let's get into the SEC games here. Let's start with Auburn, Tennessee. 5.5 point spread. Total sits in this one at 140.5. Coach, Auburn, Tennessee, huge game. You know, the Tigers might need this for the number 1 overall seed. What do you see here between the Tigers and the Vols?
I see 2 teams that are going to want to make this a half-court game.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm looking at this game and going under. I think this game will be really tightly played. So I'm going under with this game. I think it's going to be really, really close.
Yeah, I lean to Auburn here. I like Auburn minus the points. I think they got the one bad game out of their system yesterday against Ole Miss. I'm just not sold big picture on Rick Barnes. I know they do this every year. They make a run. You know, they dominate in the regular season. They make a run potentially in the SEC championship, tourney, and then bow out in the first couple of rounds of the NCAA and never live up to expectations. Problem for me is, even though you look at last night, Lanier with 23 and Geiger with 19, right?
Yeah.
Geiger. The problem, 68% from the free throw line. They still allowed Texas back in that game. That's a problem for me. Yeah. I would lay it. I think Auburn dominates this game. Might be, if you're going to back Tennessee for me, I would do it from a first-half perspective. but I just think Auburn in the end has way too much.
Yeah, I like Tennessee here. I like Tennessee to win this game before the tournament started. It's why I bet them. I felt that they would be able to. I think the way Auburn is struggling is perfect for Tennessee. Like if Auburn right now was, just a wide open door defensively, that could be a little bit more challenging for Tennessee to take advantage of. This is a team that's out of sync offensively, and I think you're going to see Tennessee step up in that way, which is why I initially was going to bet the over simply on a buy low spot, but it moves so much now. A team total on Tennessee could make a little bit more sense. I picked Tennessee to win this tournament. Need them to get the job done here against Auburn. If they do, they'll play the winner of Alabama and Florida. For me, pre-tournament, if the Crimson Tide got through Kentucky, they were also going to get through Florida. Step 1 done. I think they get step 2 done as well. I know we're kind of crisscross reversal here, Lisi. I think Alabama, though, offensively is going to be able to extend on Florida. The Gators, their offense is incredible. It feels as if they win with their defense. It's where they establish their leads in a lot of these basketball games. I don't think that's going to be the case here against Bama. I like the Crimson Tide.
Yeah, I'm going the other way. I'm just going with the team that I believe is just a little bit more consistent, and that is the Florida Gators. We talked about it. They've won 4 straight by 14-plus per game. I just like them a little bit better defensively. Coach, the way they shut down Missouri in the second half basically held them in check, less than 50% shooting. To me, that's the difference. Alabama might shoot lights out, and if that continues, then they deserve it. But I think Florida potentially is the best team in the SEC right here, right now.
I liked Alabama before the tournament started, and I'm not coming off it now. And I think, people, as we sit there, we knock Nate Oates and their defensive philosophy. Do you know they're 26th in defensive efficiency? I think that's something that people don't realize. Because they play so much in pace, I think people forget to realize that they're actually much better defensively because of Cliff Amore that allows Grant Nelson to move over to the 4. So to me, I like Alabama plus the points. I think Alabama wins outright.
To your point, though, there's only one team who has a top 40 tempo and a better defense than Alabama. And Alabama, we know, has the number 1 tempo in college basketball. Credit to New Mexico, by the way. 5th in tempo, 19th in defense. Very impressive what they've been able to do in the Mountain West. Let's get over to the Big Ten tournament here. It's Michigan State and Wisconsin. I think Michigan State wins this game. Those 2.5s are back, which is exactly what I wanted to see here. I think that you just have Wisconsin coming off of a game where they were outlier hot from 3. Anybody would not. They shot 19 of 32 from 3, 59.4%. That does not carry over against Michigan State. I think Michigan State is in line for a better offensive game. I didn't think they were great offensively against Oregon. I really like this spot for Michigan State.
Yeah, it's possible, but I'm going with what I believe is the better, 3-point team, and to me that's Wisconsin and Tanjay. I know he shot 90%, 9 of 10 from the field. I'm not expecting that type of effort, but I still think he's a catalyst for that offense. Again, I think they can push a little bit of tempo, Coach. Again, this might be a lower scoring game, but I'm going to roll with the points. I did take Wisconsin plus the 3.5, stepped up. I'm expecting that momentum to continue. I think they win it outright.
I think when you look at Michigan State, the fact that Wisconsin shot the ball extremely well from 3 and they're going against the number 2 at defending the 3-point line. Tom Izzo will have that team guarding the 3-point line. It is March. It is Izzo time. Give me Michigan State minus the points. They take away what Wisconsin does well offensively.
We get over now to Maryland, Michigan, and the closer we get to this game, the more I like Michigan's team total in this spot here. 72.5s out there in the market. The Terps, I give credit to. I think Maryland is good. So it's not a full fade of Maryland. Certainly not their offense when they're rolling can get it going. But I like the Michigan bigs in this matchup. I think the Michigan bigs are going to be a little bit more consistent potentially in this matchup here. I think Michigan heard maybe a lot of the noise with the way they closed that regular season. They knew that they needed to step up. Look, they didn't sneak by Purdue. They smashed Purdue. And I know the Boilermakers are not playing great, but I think that still is noteworthy there. I want to attack the Michigan offense in this game, Joe.
I'll root it in for you, Kev. And I told you, when I first broke this game down, I was on Michigan. But again, I think it's more about what Purdue isn't than what Michigan was last night. And that's not to take away from the fact that they stepped up as a 2.5-point dog, but expecting them to shoot 52% against a hot Maryland team that's won 4 straight, by 11.5 points per game. I just don't see it. I was more impressed with Maryland's dominance over a very good Illinois team than I was Michigan last night. I'm going to lay it with Maryland, Coach.
I'm going to go with the under. I told you before, big boy basketball. If you look at average possession length defensively, 271st, 294. They're going to slow this game down. Games will be played inside.
So we're going to quick come up against the break here. The only thing we have left to do is just run back our ACC championship game, best bets, and three-man weave. We're live with you here on SportsGrid on this Saturday.
Which is a great place to be. Are you in the locker room? Like, you giving like the Any Given Sunday inches Al Pacino speech? Are we there yet?
Oh yeah, I think we've been there. We're gonna have a long talk with Rob today about the 99-199 issue from last week. Like, I just don't get how he is still employed. We got to talk to ownership about that one.
The Smiley Show, only on SportsGrid.
They're also showing a little bit more propensity to take the pull-up jumper, which I think is important for them. Aiden Holloway's been better. Brant Nelson's getting this thing out of foul trouble. Clifford Laurie is attacking the offensive boards and being the defensive threat that they need. If Alabama can defend, and they make a run, and they win the SEC tournament, I think they're the fourth number one seed.
Betting above the rim, only on SportsGrid.
That is also value to be the best player on the best team. To me, it's Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. There is no doubt about it.
The Nuggets probably going to finish, second overall in the conference here, and it's not going to get him the MVP. We'll see how it is down the stretch, and I assume this is going to tighten up, but barring a huge drop-off for OKC as a team, not just SGA, you could probably pencil him in for 30 tonight.
The early line, only on SportsGrid. The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that roof. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
A little flyer, couple of 18.5-point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. That's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
All right, it is a busy Saturday. We appreciate all of you who have spent it with us here and perhaps gotten the mix, but Brian and their first half team total, we love to see it. Check in on your favorite team in the country, Yale?
I haven't looked. Are they down?
I don't know. It wasn't a setup. You've been keeping by the second scores.
But I mean, that was a while ago. I mean, what's Yale doing? I mean, they logged me out of FanDuel there. Hang on, 31-25. 6-point lead, 7.5 was the in-game total.
All right, covering the first half, it looks like that. Yeah. We've got best bets in three-man weave right around the corner, but ACC championship game, no Cooper flag. Duke still, of course, booked as a favorite against Louisville here. Tell me what you like, Lisi.
I'm going to lay it with Duke a little bit later today. I told you, they got the one game without Cooper flag in the lineup. They started fast, and they struggled in the second half. I think they take a different approach today, even though Louisville's a very hot team. We talk about the dominance, 111 straight, coach, by 12 points per game. I'm going to lay it with Duke. I think they cover the 6.5 later tonight.
Well, this is my best bet, so I might as well give it out now. It's Duke's team total under 77.5. 76 in a meeting in December, which Cooper Flag had 20 points and 12 rebounds, dominated the game. You look at a team in Louisville, 21st in defensive efficiency. They're top 100 in every statistical category. Duke already plays slow. May have to play slower because they have to figure out who's going to be the guy. Probably go through Kneppel, but to me, team total under 77.5 for Duke.
Yeah, I lean towards Duke in this basketball game here. I want Kneppel props. I'm waiting to see how much that menu grows for us there. So we have Coach's best bet. It's going to be a Duke team total under in the ACC championship game. Lisi, what's your best bet?
Well, say it again.
What's your best bet?
Today?
Yeah. His best bet for the whole slate is the Duke team total under. So I figured we just get right to it.
My best bet is Billy Lang and this St. Joe's team. Shout out to DRS who said, I don't know who St. Joe's is. Phil Martelli back in the day. Billy Lang, he's from Hayden Heights, New Jersey. Bishop Eustace, lay the 1.5. Finkley, Fleming, they crashed the boards. They lay the 1.5. They put a beat down on George Mason. This team is blue collar. I feel like I'm a part of them. They lay the 1.5 and win it convincingly.
Convincingly. I love Colorado State. Sometimes you guys know me, bounce back, sell high, but I don't care. Colorado State, at this point, I think it's just the best team in the Mountain West. They've won 9 consecutive games here. They absolutely smashed Utah State last night, red hot in that opening start of that game. They have the best player in the conference, no doubt in my mind, in Neek Clifford, averaging 19 and 10 on the season. The offense is rolling. I think Boise State's been playing a little bit with some fool's gold throughout this tournament there. Yes, they got a good win against New Mexico, but I don't think it carries over against Colorado State. I am a big fan of them in this spot. We have a couple of three-man weaves too because things are a little bit light right now in the markets, but things are starting to pop up here. So let's run the break and get a three-man weave going. Give me the Chad Baker Mazzara buy low. 11.5 points to the over. Last 2 games ago, ejected. Last game, benched and did not start for the first half, started in the second half. He gets his slot back and steps up at least for Auburn and goes over the 11.5.
I like Miles Kelly. When you look at guard play, we saw, Bruce Pearl call out the guards. They're tough guys, aren't they? Step up, baby. Over 11.5. Last 5 games, he's average, Coach. 15.4 points per game. If Auburn wins and covers, Miles Kelly has a huge day.
Let's keep it with the guards. Let's go with Emmanuel Sharp, over 12.5 points. 19 and 26 is 2 games in the Big 12 tournament. 0 points first time out versus Arizona in a 62-58 win. Remember, just coming off the ankle injury. You figure top defender goes to L.J. Cryer. That leaves Caleb Love, who can get lost on defense, to guard Emmanuel Sharp. Emmanuel Sharp, over 12.5 points today.
Guys in the back put together a little something for you there. We got a Mark Sears points plus assist prop on a little producer three-man weave. We've got Danger. Look at that, 7.5 boards. We got Anjay shooting 800% from the field potentially for the points plus rebounds prop there for our guy AJ. So a couple of sizzles on this slate. Are we excited?
Yeah, I'm very excited.
I mean, it's almost time.
I'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah, can you believe that?
It's already
Big
here.
10 in-game live.
Oh, very nice. I'm off Sundays. I'll be watching from afar. I'll be watching.
Feed up Joey, they call him.
Feed up Joey on Sundays.
I think it would only be appropriate, though, to end this with cannot wait to get into this March. It is going to be so much fun. We are going to have, as we always do, blowout coverage for you Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday for these tournament games. Coach James Young, Joe Lisi, Kevin Walsh will be with you the entire way. And don't forget, I-O-N-A, I-O-N-A. I-O-N-A,
Mount St. Mary's.
Let's go, Gales!
The game is on. The stakes are high. But the action isn't just on the field.
He's rearranging that rim. Get it inside!
SportsGrid's in-game live. Your ultimate second screen experience.
15.5 point live line.
Every prop, every play, every day.
Anything can happen. It's complete chaos.
It's smarter to be on SportsGrid.
Anyone that's been to a sporting event, the atmosphere before a game, I think Game Time Decisions has that same exact atmosphere. This is our arena. This is what we do. There is going to be an energy to game time decisions that you will feel night in and night out. The excitement you get when you lock your bets in, when you're figuring out what you want to do, we can zone in on the biggest games each night. I want this to be the place that people come to before the games start so they feel as ready as possible to lock in their cards. We are going to hit every single one of those markets that you need to know about. We're going to go through every single thing, and I've got a great team behind me that's going to help me get the job done. There is not going to be a better place, I promise you, than Game Time Decisions to get that new information, react to it, and be able to then bet accordingly. We will have everything at our disposal, and we will use that to our advantage. I'm Kevin Walsh. Tune into Game Time Decisions from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern on SportsGrid.
The two guys that can do it all.
Too much electricity this morning.
This is a good time. We're having a lot of fun.
I had to do a triple take.
Ka-ching! Why? Because of parity. I didn't mean to offend.
Yeah, it's not going to happen.
Load management is a dirty word.
Let him rip.
You know what? Circumstances provide the results.
What? How do you do this once? Oh, Donnie, you got such a good show there.
A network that is booming.
The Early Line, only on SportsGrid.